Hi everyone, this is Kieran from MSK Physio, and today's exercise is about learn how to rotate the head onto the thorax. And so to be able to do that, we need to use our SCM, or sternocleidomastoid muscle, and that's this big guy right here. So if you feel like when you turn your head, you're unable to get this muscle to tighten up, or you just know that it's hard for you to look left and right, then this exercise might be useful for you. Sternocleidomastoid muscle, or SCM, which we'll call it for the rest of this video. Its attachments are onto the clavicle down here, this collarbone, onto our maneuver in the sternum here, and also goes up into behind our ear, into our skull, into this mastoid process, and you can see it on me a bit here, and it goes into this nuchal line as it wraps around the back of the occipital lobe, or occipital bone, sorry. It's a muscle which we need to think about its attachments and its actual ability to contribute to the rotation. And so it doesn't actually attach to the neck, right? So it can indirectly rotate the neck, but it's more about its ability to move the head on the neck, but even more so because of its attachments down onto the thorax here, it's about being able to connect the head to the thorax. It bridges those two together. It's a common muscle that has troubles if you have issues with the reflexes between these areas. So things like writing reflexes, potentially you might have some vestibular issues, but that's dependent on your symptoms. So in this context, we're just going to use this exercise as a way to help bring some awareness back into this muscle. And by awareness, we mean that you can feel it stretch or be used. A muscle is felt when it stretches through its muscle spindles, which gives you a bit of a feedback loop into, oh, I can feel it stretching. Now I can shorten it with the appropriate amount of tone and force. And so this exercise will help bring some awareness to that. The tricky thing, though, is that with the head-related exercises, it's kind of hard to not use the weight of the head. And so there's some ways which we can get around that depending on your ability. But for the rotation ability, we're going to focus on using the weight of the head for this exercise. And so if this feels like too much for you, then watch our other sternocleidomastoid or SCM video, and you might find that those exercises are a better place for you to start. So, because it turns my head to the opposite side, so this left one turns my head to the right. You can see when I turn that it pops out. That means I need to create a right rotation for me to feel this muscle. But I also need to challenge it in its flexion ability this way. And so I need gravity to help. So I'm going to lay on my back. Different for rotation for some of our muscles at the back of the neck, which we've got some separate videos for. So I would need to extend my neck or my head on my neck. And so in this case, I'm looking to flex. So I'm going to rotate to the right and look up at the same time. So I'm trying to look at my right shoe is my goal here, okay? So I'm trying to look over at my right shoe and come back down. And look over at my right shoe and come back down. So I'm looking over at my heel, okay? Now, the head movement on the neck is about half of that rotation before we get around to that 80 degrees-ish, which is generally our normal for rotation. So the ability to rotate around. So I'm not feeling like I need to go way past. I don't necessarily have to go way over here and look that way. Is the SCM going to kick in heaps? Yes, but that end range movement is going to be kicked in with some more different muscles. So to just get this awareness of this SCM going, I'm just going up and looking. So you guys can see from this angle, up over to there and back down. Up over and back down. And this one, looking left and flexing, and so I'm using my right SCM. I'm using a whole bunch of other muscles as well, depending on your start position, things like your longus capitis as well, which is more of a flexor, can also, and nodding the head can also help with some rotation. I'm also using things like my anterior scalene because my neck is also coming up as well. The reason I have to involve the neck is because what I'm trying to do is bring my skull closer to its other attachments into these clavicles and sternum. If I wanted to just focus on the head rotation on the neck, that's a different kind of exercise and different muscles. So for the SCM, we have to think about the head getting closer to the thorax. A muscle that for a lot of people, aspects of its use will be they'll be quite able to use it. This is kind of that forward head position. That's very much an SCM position of extending the head and flexing forward. So people will be quite comfortable there for a lot. But for a lot of the time, it's being able to get up into these positions and through here. And for example, could you, if you were sitting or standing, could you touch your collarbone with your chin? That kind of movement is what we're talking about. So give this exercise a go. Start conservatively as you do with all neck-related exercises. Not that we're worried about bad stuff, it's just that your head's reasonably heavy and the capacity for these muscles, if you need these exercises, may be quite low. And so just start conservatively, see if things go okay, and if they do, then start increasing the reps or the sets. If you like this video, then please hit like below. Otherwise, to check out more of our content in the future, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo over here. And to check out our latest video, click up here.